If you use what I'm going to share with you today, you too will be able to grow your agency or service-based business to over $2 million a year like I did. I was feeding 3 sales reps constantly with inbound leads that I was generating with my paid ads, and I helped 2 other companies with an online service go to multi-8 figures. So what I'm going to share with you in this video is absolutely actionable. It literally takes only 5 minutes of thinking time to apply this. And if you apply this, my promise to you is that you will get more book calls, you will have a lower cost per acquisition, and you will literally have a machine that constantly puts your calendar full, or your sales reps as well. So what is that one thing that I'm talking about exactly? That, my friend, is called Affinity. Okay, what is Affinity really? Okay, if you're watching this right now and you're white versus another viewer who's maybe brown, guess what? I have more affinity with the brown guy. In fact, I have a client that came through one of my YouTube videos and then joined my school community, saw what I was doing, said, holy cow, this guy, Hamza, is brown. He's a Muslim. He is Punjabi Pakistani. He speaks Urdu. He's a dad. He's got multiple kids like I do. And he has moved away from his Western country. There's a ton of affinity over there. And for that student who's watching this right now, I love you, bro. So I'm going to explain to you how you can build affinity in your ads to generate more conversions and more sales. Now, here's the thing. If done correctly, affinity can lead to even more trust and liking than even freaking authority, okay? Accolades, case studies, results, and all this other jazz, because it's a basic mind hack that when you make someone realize and believe that they are like you and you are like them, they'll like you. Because who doesn't like themselves unless you're a self-loathing piece of... Okay, let's continue. So direct affinity and indirect affinity. Remember, as you're watching this right now, I want you to think about how you can infuse this into your ad copy, into your sales process, and even into your landing pages, really everything that you do, okay? So the biggest thing right now is direct affinity. So the first thing would be through looks, okay? That's also your appearance. And that could be your apparel, etc. So for example, the look, the visual aspect of it, right? Like when you see someone that's got a beard like you, or has a hairstyle like you, or looks like you in some capacity, that builds more trust. So for example, I was running ads in the roofing niche for a very long time, and what I did is I would go ahead and wear a collared shirt, okay? And I wear a hat on my head. And that's what contractors wear, because they're oftentimes getting up on the roof, there's sun out, and so I was looking the part, versus if I was wearing a hoodie and if I was wearing like a freaking chain, and look at me and be like, yo, this guy, he's not one of us. And so that's the vibe that we want to go with in our ads. He is one of us. Okay, in a similar fashion, I mean, I'll be frank with you, for the longest time, I was, wearing a lot of streetwear. I used to wear some really high-end streetwear that I'll be spending, hundreds, even thousands of dollars on, shoes and all these things. But my demographic didn't realize that. They just thought that this dude's some like hype beast, right? I didn't even know the word hype beast. So what I did intentionally a few years ago was change my wardrobe. Okay, now I wear collared shirts, and I wear nice belts, and I wear nice watches and all these things, even though it's not necessarily something that I personally am so big on. I don't really care what people wear, but I know that affinity is such a big mind hack that it can instantly breed trust just by the way you look. Now, am I saying you got to look rich and fake it till you make it? I'm not saying that. All I'm saying is that if you're in a niche that, for example, with chiropractors or even like med spas and doctors and stuff, they're wearing, these overalls, or they're wearing like these lab coats, just look the part, okay? The second part of direct affinity when we're running ads that we want to create in our advertisements is essentially our words, okay? So there's a big difference, for example, when we're running ads and someone comes to a roofing contractor and says, hey, can I get you more clients? Immediately the roofing contractor is going to opt out and say, yeah, that's not the word that I use. I use homeowners, right? Like I want to work with homeowners. And so if you use the word customers or clients with a roofing contractor, they're not going to like that. If you use the word clients with a med spa, they're not going to want that. They want high-paying patients, for example. You see what I'm saying? Like, can I get you more, customers is going to be less powerful for like a ceramic coating guy than saying, I'm going to get you coating jobs, right? So you got to understand the slang, right, of your industry. And then really the next thing after that is we have indirect affinity. Okay, again, all of this can be used in our sales calls. It can be used on our ads, especially in our ad copy. You know, I absolutely love using some of these in the banners, right, of my video ad. So usually when you have a video ad, you have sort of the ad over here, and then usually there's the talking head or, you know, whoever it is in there. But usually you can have a banner, and it's here that I really, really like adding some sort of a call out, like, you know, roofing contractors doing X amount of revenue, or, you know, roofing contractors, do you want more re-roof jobs, right? Like the average person doesn't know what a freaking re-roof is, but I know what a re-roof is. It's a full roof replacement, and that's more desirable to them than like a roof repair. So that's going to be very powerful. We can use that in the call out of our ads. And then really with indirect, I'm just going to design this a little bit more, you know, because as I'm going, I'm realizing that, you know, I gotta make this a little bit more visually appealing for you. So the next thing is we have indirect affinity. So this is ultimately going to come from you being able to, and this is more of a sales call thing. I wouldn't necessarily use this on an ad, but I wanted to go over here just to prove the point that affinity can be built even if you don't look, or even if you don't know the words. You can ultimately use your family, friends, and your background to create affinity, right? So if someone says that they're from like Florida, it can be like, oh, I grew up in Florida. Or I have a family member that lives out over there. That's amazing. I love the barbecue out in Texas, right? Like we're creating indirect affinity by saying that we've been to the place, or we've thought of going there, or we want to visit that place that they go to, or they, you know, maybe they run a certain kind of business and it's, hey, I've always thought of running something like that. Or people all the time, when I tell them I've been traveling around the world for the last 5 years and right now I'm in Panama in my office, they say to me, I've really wanted to visit Panama. I have literally a client call that's going to happen in just an hour, and this guy loves me because his whole dream has been to move to Panama, and he's a marketing agency owner, and there's so much affinity over there because ultimately he wants to potentially do what I'm doing right now. You see, that's the crazy thing about affinity, and we try to build that at every single point that we possibly can. Look, if you're not building affinity with your clients, with your prospects, with even your teammates, there's a massive opportunity being left on the table, because again, as I said, affinity is the one thing that could even trump any authority in a space. Like you could have someone that's like the freaking G of whatever in whatever space, but if they're not relatable in some way, doesn't matter, right? Results. That's great and everything, but if you're not relatable, that doesn't matter. Why? Because ultimately, and this is the last thing that I'm going to say, before I say this, I want to recognize that, hey, I have a free school community where I'm giving away value on free weekly calls where I personally get on those calls, okay? And I coach you through your ads. If you want to get on and talk media buying, ad copy, landing page, we can do that. So the link is somewhere in the description or the first comment. With that said, the final thing that I'm going to say over here, the final thing that's very, very important with all of this, and this is probably one of the most important things with affinity, is that affinity can and should be used even when it's a sales conversation, okay? Yeah, well, I'm gonna say that. One more thing that I wanted to say, results. And the final thing that I want to say that you've been waiting this whole time to hear is that ultimately people are not buying the product. I know that having a great product is what we all strive for. It's what we should always do. Believe me, I learned that lesson the hard way. But people are not buying companies or products. People are buying you. So if you're the one that's on the ad, and you're the one that's on the sales call, then they're buying you. And if you're not taking the time to build affinity, you're losing out. Frankly, the first 10 minutes of every conversation I have, a sales call, is me building as much affinity as I possibly can. And then I go from there. So if you want to see maybe some of my sales calls in the future, it's not even what this channel is about. It's all about acquisition. But let me know in the comments. Again, join the free school community. I hope you enjoyed this first whiteboard training of many. Actually, I also have a whiteboard over here. I'll just show you real quick. But I didn't want to use this one right now. I just really enjoyed the view over here. So if you enjoyed this and this was helpful, then please comment below, Let me know what else you want to see. Much love.